Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running talk show on computers and technology. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope all of you are having a great day so far. A little rainy here, but won't stop us from having a great show. And that great show, by the way, for those of you who did not check out today's post, is going to be with a company called Dealray. That's right, we are going to be talking about their service and how it looks like they can save you a boatload, maybe on boats, but no, a boatload on travel and travel in general. Looks like a very cool product, and we are going to be talking to the founder and CEO of the company and learning more about what Dealray does. So before we get to that, though, we of course need to mention a few things, including computeramerica.com. That's where you will find the show notes, which are oh so important because they have the archive, they have the audio and video archive. They have the, of course, any links to our guest website or any articles we do later on in the show, or just about anything you could want for today's show will be included in the show notes. And then the next thing, while you're over at our website, be sure to check out our video portion of the show, because not only can you listen, I know we're a radio show, but you can also watch Computer America as well. We live stream to YouTube. We've been working on that. We're very proud of it, and we think you should check that out. And the last thing is our social media contest, where we will be giving away a prize to one of our loyal listeners. And all they have to do is go on over to our website, enter. There's like 7 or 8 different ways, and we could be calling your name tomorrow live on the air when we give away a prize from our friends over at Logitech. So to find out more and, of course, read some of the articles that we put up on our website and, of course, podcasts and the whatnot, check out all of that at computeramerica.com. So with all of those morning announcements out of the way, we should just get started. So for those of you, maybe you haven't heard of Dealray, and that's okay, because I think we have the best person for the job to explain just what it is they do and what they can do for you. So joining us on the show today is Mr. Dan Kohn. He is the CEO and founder of Dealray. And Dan, welcome on to the Computer America Show.
Hey, Ben, good to be with you.
Happy to have you. So, Dealray, that is certainly a new company to myself, I will say, but happy to have you on. And for anyone else out there who, maybe hadn't heard of Dealray, could you give a little bit of background of when Dealray started, maybe a little bit of your background, and why you decided to make Dealray?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So Dealray launched in 2015, and basically my reason for, I'll give a little bit of, a background on Dealray. Dealray is a mobile alert service that sends text messages or mobile alerts for unbelievable airfare deals. And so I started because I had been sort of passionate about traveling and, figuring out ways to travel for less. And there's lots of ways, if you know about it. I've always been somebody who's passionate about deals and savings and, kind of finding ways to do things for less than you might ordinarily expect. And travel really caught my eye, and it became a real passion of mine. So Dealray started because I had essentially missed an unbelievable sale that I had only found out about after the fact, when it was a time back in 2014 when Delta was selling airfares from New York to Hawaii for $60 round trip. And this was the sale that I had only found out about afterwards. And I sort of started thinking and saying to myself, why is it that I'd only seen it 5 hours later on Facebook after it was already gone? And I thought maybe I could create a way where nobody, including myself, would be able to would miss anything like that in the future. And so sort of the concept for Dealray was born, and with a lot of technical work and sort of just developing our business and developing our products, we got it out there and started to sort of grow organically. From then on, I've been happy to have been recognized by Travel & Leisure magazine as one of the best new travel apps, and then again as one of the new top 50 travel apps for 2017, recognized by USA Today, one of the best travel apps, etc. So it's been really exciting.
Very cool. And congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Right, yeah. So, and Dan, I mean, before we get into, what Dealray exactly is and all that stuff, I just want to ask you kind of right out of the gate, is that, right now we're actually setting up for Computer America to head on out to Las Vegas for January for CES next year, and I'm in charge of all of those preparations. A lot of fun, but obviously very complicated. And I think, I would kind of call myself pretty tech savvy. And there's a lot of people who I think that are less tech savvy than myself. Why do you feel that traveling, airfare or otherwise, why do you think traveling has gotten so complicated? Because, let's face it, there's, to get the best deal that you possibly can, I'm sure Dealray is going to be able to help with this, but in general, why do you think it's gotten so complicated?
Well, we try to make it really simple, and that's sort of one of the other things about Dealray is we don't require you to come to our website and check it or enter any kind of complex, search factors or filters or criteria or anything like that. Basically, when you sign up, you tell us where you are, essentially where you would like to receive alerts from, and then you can go about your life. And then when we find something that we believe is unbelievable, an awesome deal, we will send you a text about it. Click on the link and you read about it on our page and how to book it, and we give you the instructions right there, and you can go and grab it. But I agree with you that travel has definitely become complicated. Finding a great price has become complicated. One of the things that in recent years the airlines have spent a lot of money doing is optimizing revenue, and so they use extremely complicated algorithms, and they have these massive systems that are constantly optimizing and tweaking their fares. So, I mean, like I think everybody knows at this point, you could be taking a flight where you paid, let's say, I don't know, New York to Los Angeles flight, and maybe you paid $300 for the ticket, you booked it 6 months ago. Maybe the guy next to you booked it yesterday and paid $1,000, right? So they're constantly doing things like that. So as far as, but then again, there's a lot of options nowadays for ways to save between the airline's own sort of mileage programs to various other rewards credit cards that allow you to redeem your rewards for travel, sometimes at like a higher rate than you might be able to redeem for cash. And, other kinds of, let's say, for example, traveling to Europe. There's been, in recent years, a number of carriers that have introduced sort of the concept of low-cost fares, where similar to like people in the U.S. are familiar with like Spirit Airlines or Frontier, where generally speaking, you're only paying for the cost of the ticket, and anything including carry-on luggage is extra. So that concept has been brought by airlines, for example, Norwegian Airlines and WOW Air, to international travel. So when you fly in those airlines, when you pay for the basic lowest price for a ticket, you might not be able to take anything beyond, a small personal item with you on the airplane. Everything else is an additional fee. I guess the concept is known as unbundling, where sort of you're only paying for the basic ticket. Anything extra is on top. But if you're flexible and you can pack light, you're able to get fares like the Europe fares. Sometimes a Norwegian might be under $300, or WOW Air. We've had it on our website featured for $99 each way to Iceland, or sometimes even to Paris. And that's a really great way for people, if they're flexible, to be able to save on travel through the sort of new evolutions, some of the new evolutions that are going on in the travel landscape.
Right. Yeah, and technology is obviously going to play such a large role because technology plays such a large role in setting the ticket prices. So, being able to utilize, things such as yourself to, get the best price that they set is very important. So you kind of lightly touched upon what, how Dealray kind of gets these deals, but could you kind of go through it? Maybe, someone going to Dealray.com, how would they kind of use the app, and then also, well, yeah, and how it's different than, let's say, some of the other Travelocity, Priceline, whatever, what have you, and how is it different?
Absolutely. So basically, it's pretty simple, 2 or 3 step sign up process. Log on to the website, Dealray.com. Our model is subscription model, and that's important for reasons that I'll get into. But basically, we offer everyone a 30-day free trial, very similar to Netflix, and then it's $9.99, $10 per month going forward. So when you sign up, you give us your email address, your mobile number, and your credit card information. You get started. We send you a text link to make sure that your number works. You click on the link and you're verified, and then we basically request that you let us know where you are geographically within the United States and what alerts you want to receive. If there's any, you can specify your airports if you're very particular about that. And then you essentially just sit back, and when we find an alert that matches your preferences, we will send you an alert, and you can come back to the website and read the instructions on how to book the flight, and we'll send you to wherever it might be, either it's the airline's website or it's a search engine like Google Flights or Kayak, or we will send you to, we'll give you the instructions. And you mentioned like Expedia, I think,
right.
Travelocity. So the reason why we're different, I mean, so we don't actually people don't book flights directly through us. We are more of an informational service, so we'll tell you about where to book it, and we will send you to the place where the best place in terms of price, in terms of quality. And our focus really is on quality of the deals. We know that sending somebody a text message is one of the most personal sort of channels that they have, right? Like people read almost all of their text messages, and we want to be the furthest thing from intrusive. And so the reason why we're able to set our bar for quality so high is that we are a subscription model. And so while there's a lot of other places out there that make money based on how many times people make bookings, they get a commission.
Right.
We don't take any kind of commission. So therefore we're independent, and we have the best interests of our members as part sort of built into our model. So that's how, and that's how we're able to keep our focus on quality. Yeah.
Yeah, no, very cool. And obviously, there's no some kind of, on the back end, you're making more money. It's strictly through subscriptions, like you said. That's very important. So when we're talking about subscription, though, are we talking like another cable bill or a gym membership, or how much would the monthly subscription, kind of run you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think I touched on it, but it's not anywhere close to any of those things. And we actually feel it's very reasonable. So it's actually $10, $9.99 on a monthly basis. So it's something that, comes in the day, and everybody gets a free month to sign up and try it out. And if you don't like it, you can cancel before that month is up. No risks whatsoever. And it's something that people have really, really loved and continue to subscribe to. I'll give you some context, which is that we tend to save our members per deal around $428.
Very nice.
And imagine if you book two tickets at that price, like if you're traveling with yourself and a companion, or even if you book 3 or 4, those savings get compounded, and it's something that you're paying $10 a month for, which we found is a pretty good balance in terms of the value, and we think that it's far out. Essentially, the value that you receive far outweighs the cost, especially since you don't have to do any of the manual filtering through, let's say, certain, I don't know, email lists of best deals, or websites that might list best deals, anything like that.
Right. So, and let's put these flights into some context, because I can't imagine that these flights would be. I would assume it'd be very time sensitive. It would be very, maybe deal oriented, that kind of thing. When you have
Yep.
these flights here that maybe $750 for Hong Kong, and you have it here for $250, I mean, how quickly can
Yep.
someone kind of get the deal and then decide if they want to act on it or not, like on average?
Absolutely. So I describe the way that our deals almost as like flash sales for airfare in some ways, since the time windows to book are limited, but the savings could be enormous. So, I'll give you an example, which is, we had a deal last month, round trip to Singapore for $329
Wow.
on Japan Airlines. That ticket could ordinarily be in the 900 or 800. And so sometimes the deals are available for a few hours. Sometimes they're available for a couple days. But like any airfare, it's sort of at the the control of the airline. So they're able to they will change their prices sometimes very rapidly, and sometimes they'll leave them longer. And sometimes, which is interesting, is that one airline will put certain routes on sale, and what that will do is spark other airlines, their competitors, to come up with their own sale. And so sometimes something that starts off as a smaller, maybe more limited sale. For example, we had a sale a few weeks ago where flights on American Airlines were on sale to Europe. Sometimes a competitor like Delta will come in and they will offer their own discounts, and it turns into the term is called a fare war. And for either for between hours and days, there will be a whole bunch of really low airfares available that if somebody wasn't necessarily that attuned to what's going on, they didn't have necessarily they either weren't following things very closely or what have you. Dealray essentially solves that problem because we send them an alert. So we will let you know when something exciting like this is going on in terms of airfare sales.
Right.
When otherwise you might not realize it until it's too late, which is sort of what happened to me back in 2014.
Yeah, and I expect nothing less because again I'm kind of tracking prices to Las Vegas, and those ticket prices
Right.
I'm currently 7 months out. It's plenty of time, but they still change daily, almost hourly.
Yeah.
It's very hard to stay on top of it, and I can definitely say that
Yeah.
mobile alerts will definitely help you. So and obviously you've been doing this for a
One
little
thing,
while. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, I would just add one more thing, which is that what we basically any airline that departs from the United States roughly allows you 24 hours to change your mind without penalty. And so that's the recommendation that we issue to our members. If you see a fare that's really amazing and you get an alert for it, and you really, you're thinking about it, maybe you want to do it, maybe you have to consult, some other people. Our advice is book first, and then you've got 24 hours to change your mind. We recommend people book on Priceline because they have a pretty easy online cancellation process. Sometimes it's even more than 24 hours. But basically, that's a recommendation. If you see this awesome fare, 329 to Singapore or 302 to Madrid, book first, book now, and then sort of decide, make your final decision. You got an extra 24 hours at least.
Right. Well, that was going to lead me into my next question. And it's, obviously this is going to really appeal to someone who obviously enjoys traveling and is, rather unencumbered by general responsibilities. But I just kind of wanted to ask you, maybe yourself or your users, do you find yourself traveling more after they subscribe to Dealray?
For myself, definitely not, just because I'm sort of kind of busy running a company. But for my users, I definitely think so. We've gotten a lot of really excited sort of user comments, user feedback about the amazing trips that they've been able to book and how excited they were to save money. You know, I think a lot of people are actually empowered to travel because of Dealray, whereas something, maybe a dream trip for them, might be out of reach. Otherwise, if, you know, they look at destinations like the Maldives, for example, where flights can be over $1,000 per ticket, and we had a deal where you could fly there for $560 round trip.
Right.
And if you wanted to go 2 times, you could add another trip for another $129, which is a deal that we had just a couple weeks ago. You know, I mean, that's something that's really it makes me happy, because we're making things accessible to travel and getting to amazing destinations accessible to people who might otherwise not be accessible to, or making the trip better. Like, nobody really looks forward, generally speaking. The flight is maybe the least exciting part of a vacation. And if we can free up people to be able to put more, you know, money of their budget into the activities once they're there, tours, restaurants, you know, I don't know, outdoor activities, their lodging, right?
Right.
That's something that is a goal of ours, and it's something that I think we've been really happy to be able to have done for our members.
Well, right, and some of these prices that we're seeing, I mean, you turn a, you know, maybe a once every 6 months or once a year flight that costs, you know, maybe $1,000, $1,200, you turn that into a $200 airfare, and that becomes, you know, maybe once a month or once every couple months instead of, you know, once a year. It's obviously going to appeal again to, you know, the world travelers out there. This is very, very cool. So, what other apps? Because you know, because you've mentioned a couple, and you mentioned a couple of programs that people can sign up for to, you know, get even more out of something like this. What other apps do you recommend to save money when you travel?
Sure. Well, I'll give you an example of either using so somebody who wants to stay in you know, a luxury hotel suite, but doesn't want to pay the astronomical rates that the hotel is trying to charge. So, or just in general, a hotel. So I've got 2 tips. One is, call the hotel directly. If you see a price online, you might be able to get a better rate that the hotel isn't allowed to advertise publicly by calling the front desk and saying, you saw a price online, but you were wondering, and you really want to stay at this hotel, is there a way that they can give you a better price? Because if they're giving it to you directly, they're not advertising it, and so therefore it doesn't violate any of their agreements. And if they have, you know, excess capacity that they're looking to fill, you might be able to get a really good rate. And the second one touches on being able to get hotel suites for a lot less than the price that they might normally be advertised. And that's and this only works at hotels that are also condominiums. So sites like HomeAway or Airbnb often allow you to book individual owners' rooms at condo hotels, and you'll be booked as essentially almost as like their guest, but in many cases, the hotel will provide you with more, either the same or more of the amenities that you would normally get by staying at that hotel. And since it's somebody's, you know, essentially somebody's apartment, right, somebody's condo, you will have a better room. It's almost, and the hotel will sell that room as a suite, generally speaking, because, you know, it has like a kitchen, or it has, you know, a full sort of separate bedroom. And typically you can save like 70+% off of what a hotel will be selling for that for directly. So, you know, and condo hotels, especially on the luxury, the high end, have been more and more common being built in the last decade. So this works at a lot of hotels. So check it out next time you're going to a city like Miami or other places where they have these, and you can get an amazing room for a lot less.
Very, very, very good advice. And Homeboy, that is a name that I have not heard in a while. We actually had them back on the show, or we had them on the show a couple of years ago, and they were certainly a lot of fun to interview. And no, very, very good advice. So, and to kind of wrap this up, I mean, obviously, if you're using Dealray, then the best time to book a flight would be, as you said, right when you get the alert. The flash sale is only going to last so long. But again, kind of going back to myself, I'm 7 months out. I've heard everything from 2 weeks before a flight to 2 months before a flight to just as soon as you can. Give me a definitive answer. When is the best time to book a flight?
Well, I can't. I have to say it depends. But roughly speaking, it's about 3 months out. Of course, that all it depends on like where the destination is, what's going on there. Like you're saying, you're going out for CES, which is obviously a major conference out in Vegas. But it seems like that time is probably going to be pretty competitive for airfares out there. What I would recommend is to use a site like Kayak to set up an email, daily email alert or a search, I guess.
Right.
So what you would do is basically tell them that what your dates are that you want to be traveling, and keep an eye on it. And if you see that the price takes a dive from what it typically is, I would say grab it. And if not, and you see that it's sort of starting to creep up, especially as you get I wouldn't leave it too long.
Right.
But if you see it start to creep up as soon, closer in, I would jump on it. Or alternatively, I mean, that's if you're interested in paying cash. There's a lot of other ways. Like if you or anyone has a lot of airline miles, you could use that to redeem for those flights. Especially when flights tend to be expensive, the programs with fixed cost tickets tend to be a lot more valuable. Mm-hmm. For example, United would charge you 25,000 miles for that round trip flight. If the flight is a $500 flight, you've gotten a value of 2 cents per mile for your miles, which is a very good value.
Right.
Whereas if it's a $200 flight, you've gotten less than 1 cent for each of your miles, which would not be as good of a value. So especially when the airfare is expensive, those mile programs tend to be the most valuable.
And I was going to make a joke about beating United Airlines, but no, I'm not gonna even try. So it's
exactly. You're beating them at their own game.
Absolutely. Right. So yeah, and so no, Dealray.com. Obviously, you can go there, but obviously because it sends you text message alerts. Is this a dedicated app, or is this something you sign on through, through the web portal, through a browser?
Yeah. So we originally launched as a website, web service, Dealray.com, and then more recently we launched an iPhone app. So we are also on the App Store. And you have the option of receiving, if you have the app, so you have the option of receiving text messages or iPhone alerts or both. We're working on Android. We don't have that quite yet. But pretty much, SMS is the universal, it's pretty much the universal medium right now. Any kind of phone receives SMS. So Dealray.com. And if you sign up there and you have an iPhone, you can then also download the app and sign in there, and it's the same sign-in process, the same account.
Very, very simple. And yeah, and of course, we will have a link to your website over in the show notes. And, again, just poking through your website, this is a little weirdly formatted, but over 1,000 Dealray members have been alerted, through your service. So you've sent over 1 million messages so far to your users. That's very impressive.
Thank you. I have to check on that formatting, but
yeah. It says 1,005.7K, and it's like 1,000. So, but no, it's
sure.
You have hit 1 million, and that's very, very cool.
All right, milestone. We got a milestone.
Definitely.
Thank you for that. And
no problem.
Thank you for having me on and putting the link on your website and letting me talk about it to your audience.
Happy to do so. And I want to say one more time, Mr. Dan Kohn, CEO and founder of Dealray, thank you so much for joining us. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much.
All right.
I appreciate it.
All right, have a good one. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, everyone, and there he goes. Once again, that was Dealray.com. You can check them out over at our website. We will, of course, have a link over to the service. So, with that being said, the music means we have to take a break, and we'll be right back with, well, computer and technology news. And boy, do we have a lot of stories. Check it out here in just a moment. So, without further ado, well, we'll be right back. More Computer America just after this.
We are all Brother Wolf. 10 years ago, a group of locals banded together to create positive change. We took animals into our homes, held adoption events at local retailers, and talked to the community about our mission to help build a no-kill Asheville. A decade later, we have achieved so many victories for animals in need. There's been so much progress, yet there's still so much to do. As part of our year-long celebration, we encourage you to become a member of our special Compassionate Circle program. With a monthly donation of $10 or more, you will have behind-the-scenes access to the work we are doing at Brother Wolf. Our goal is to reach 1,000 members because we receive no government funding. Working together, we can help build and sustain no-kill communities. Learn more at compassionatecircle.bwar.org. We are a 501c3 tax-deductible organization.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. Thank you so much once again for joining us. And if you were just joining us, you missed the first half hour, don't worry about it, because we have you covered over at our website, computeramerica.com. Just finished up with a company called Dealray, and we talked all about how their service is going to save you oodles and oodles on airfare. Very cool service, and if you are the kind that likes to go on trips randomly, well, this could be just what you want. Okay, so with that, we are going to move on to Computer and Technology News, brought to you by Computer America. So, here we go, Computer and Technology News. All right, and of course, brought to you by Computer America, and our first story is going to be this one. Now, if you aren't, really into the gaming, the gaming circle, well, developers hold a special place in a lot of people's hearts. It's, your developer of choice either has really great games, or there are developers who make really crappy games and you come out swinging every time they announce something. So people tend to play favorites, either wow, I really like that developer, or wow, I really don't like that developer. Well, enter one of those cases, and they've really taken up what I think a lot of people expect from a company such as CD Projekt Red. They make the Witcher series, if you are familiar. Witcher 3, wildly successful, and one of, really the highest acclaimed franchises out there. Lots of gameplay, of course, very limited when it comes to, add-ons and downloads and things that you have to pay extra for. Just CD Projekt Red has a lot of goodwill built up among consumers. And, well, they're cashing it in, because the response to this has been overwhelmingly negative. And so for those of you who do not know what I'm talking about, Ars Technica, Mr. Kyle Orland has a story where Witcher developer, or CD Projekt Red, thieves want ransom for leaked Cyberpunk 2077 documents. That's right. So, files for the upcoming Cyberpunk 2077, an open-world RPG based on the 1990 PC title. And that's right, CD Projekt Red, they're saying that is publicizing an unknown group's attempt to extract ransom over apparently leaked internal files describing the company's upcoming Cyberpunk 2077. And in a tweet this morning, the company warned that the unidentified individuals are in possession of early designs for the upcoming game, and that these individuals are demanding ransom to prevent the files being released to the public. And they have a quote here saying that we will not be giving in to the demands of the individuals that have contacted us. That's right, and that is from CD Projekt Red in a tweet. And they actually have a statement out, and let's actually put that up on the video portion if you are paying attention to that. But they're saying that a demand for ransom has been made, saying that should we not comply, the files will be released to the general public. We will not be giving in to the demands, which might eventually lead to the files being published online. And they said that the authorities have been alerted, and that the documents that they are in possession of, well, they're old. They're old, and they do not represent the Cyberpunk 2077 even at this point, even more so when the game is finally released. Saying that when the time is right, you will hear about Cyberpunk 2077 from Project CD Red directly and officially. So there you have it. This is another attempt at extortion. We saw this with Pirates of the Caribbean. Not even a month ago, I believe. One of the editing companies that Disney uses for the movie was compromised, and an early cut of the film had been released to, or had been tried to ransom through it, and even they just didn't even respond to that. So CD Projekt Red is taking the same approach and has not responded, or at least will not be responding to those who are looking for a ransom. It's pretty crazy. Oh yeah, and it also happened, actually, according to the article, they're saying that it also happened with Netflix's Orange is the New Black, which had about 11 episodes released. And when Netflix didn't give in to demands, though the episodes would seem much more valuable than apparently outdated game design documents, where in both cases, perpetrators have thus far been unable to obtain the payoff that they're seeking for any ill-gotten information. Very, very true. So, hacking and ransoming. Like, I guess ransomware is one thing, but trying to ransom after the fact doesn't seem to be too profitable. Ransomware, insanely profitable. Ransom, not so much. So, I don't think this is a lesson for hackers and how to make money, but at the same time, ransom really is not paying off with these high-profile companies, and I know that they prefer that these documents not be leaked to the public. In the end, it's really not going to affect them one way or the other. So, there you have it. They are cashing in their goodwill. And by the way, when I went on that little tirade about how much goodwill they have built up, the response to this kind of act and everyone who is looking at it, there's not a lot of people saying, I hope they release them because I really want to see what they're doing. No, there's a lot of, why would you do it to this company? They're going to do it when they do it, and how dare you? They're a good gaming company. There's a lot more how dare yous than there are, oh, I can't wait. So, there you have it. And yeah, we'll see what comes of that. But I'm betting, even if they do release, not a lot will come of it. There you have it. So, now let's go on to our next story. And how about we go on to some Apple news? Apple. All right. And Apple, they just had their Worldwide Developers Conference. I believe it's still ongoing today and tomorrow as well. But many of the big announcements have already been made. And here you have it. One of them that we did not catch the other day is that you can replace RAM and processors in the new iMacs. Very important. Saying that you'll just have to void your warranty and rip the screen off to get to them. There you have it. So, and this is, a huge this is a huge sticking point for a lot of people that buy these Apple iMacs, is that they're non-upgradable. I mean, sure, you can upgrade some RAM every now and again, but at the same time, they're so integrated and they're so small and compact that you really can't upgrade any parts for newer parts. They don't have the exact same dimensions. But looks like for this one at least, you can do just that. So earlier this week, by the way, this is coming from Engadget, Mr. Nathan Ingram, and earlier this week, Apple revealed a fleet of new iMacs, and as usual, the teardown experts at iFixit have started taking them apart. And that the first to go under the knife is the new 4K 21.5-inch iMac, and the iFixit team found a few surprises, where the most notable is that the iMac's RAM isn't soldered directly into the motherboard. Thank goodness. And that means it is technically replaceable down the line, something that hasn't been the case since 2013. Additionally, the new iMac actually has a socketed CPU that can also be replaced. It's been even longer since the 21.5-inch iMac was able to do that, about 2012. And of course, we need to be clear that these are not easy to access parts. Instead, you need to pry off the large screen on front. You need to pry it off and remove the screen entirely. And that's not exactly what you call user serviceable, and Apple agrees. If you start tinkering with these parts, you almost certainly void your warranty, as is the case with Apple in most cases. And that said, it's good to know that if you pick up one of these iMacs and it starts to get a little sluggish down the line, well, looks like you might be able to get a little bit more life out of it. At least, a new CPU. So, it's not bad though. It's not great. Obviously, Apple is still sticking to their guns where you can't take apart your Apple products and upgrade them. But at the same time, if you're willing to get down and dirty with the iMac, there's a chance that you can upgrade it in the future. And that's something. Certainly is something. So, with that said, Apple, what are you going to do? So, with that said, we're going to move on to another story. And you know what? I think we're going to do... How about this one? This is a story that I really wanted to report on the other day, but I didn't get a chance to because, well, to be honest, it was like 4 pages long, and that's a little long for even myself. And this one is still pretty long, but I think we can get through it now because this is a rebuttal that Xbox had to the coverage. And Ars Technica did a really great in-depth piece on the data coming out of Xbox Live users and what they're doing with their Xboxes and a lot of other interesting tidbits. Well, also from Ars Technica, Kyle Orland saying that the devil from the details, proper interpretation of our Xbox usage data. And that Microsoft subtweets aside, they said that they're sticking to their data until they prove us wrong. And they said that when you try to extrapolate console usage patterns from randomly sampled server data, you're always looking for ways to test the data against reality. And Microsoft shared a small slice of that reality this week, and it had us taking a second look at least part of the recent wide-ranging report on Xbox Live usage. Saying that on Wednesday, Xbox Chief Marketing Officer shared on Twitter that roughly 50% of Xbox owners have played a backwards compatible Xbox 360 game in over 508 million hours without the feature, with the feature since it launched a couple of years ago. Okay. And they say that the numbers seem to contrast pretty heavily with what we've seen with the randomly sampled data. And assuming that about 28 million total Xbox One owners, for the back of the envelope math, they're saying that puts at about 18 total hours of backwards compatible play per owner. In about the 4.5 months, we could expect that to translate to about 4.5 hours of backward compatible play per user. and instead they measured about 26 minutes. So the math isn't lining up there. The two numbers are very different, and that means that maybe Xbox is either cherry picking their data or they're flat out lying. So they said that, going back to it, they said there's also evidence that interest in backwards compatibility use has picked up in recent months, saying that back in November, Microsoft said that Xbox One owners had only put about 210 million hours into the backwards compatible games. And assuming about 25 million Xbox owners at the time, that translates into about 0.7 hours per month. Interesting. And of course, they have things like the addition of Call of Duty Black Ops 2 to the backwards compatible lineup, and a couple other large popular games means that, hey, maybe that's the uptick. But overall, it's hard to say that 18 hours matches up with, with anything else. So, the article goes on to say that they are reevaluating their data, but at the same time, they're not really going to go back on it. Microsoft has to prove them wrong, which, when you do this kind of journalism, you really can't do that. I mean, that is just inviting all kinds of scrutiny. It's making the burden of proof on Xbox instead of the other way around. These are numbers, guidelines that are randomly sampled. This is more like a Nielsen rating than it is true to life numbers. So all the numbers should be taken with a grain of salt, but at the same time, they differ so widely from the numbers that Xbox and Microsoft has put forward. But again, I really don't expect Microsoft to dispel all the myths, come out with every scrap of data and say, check it out, here are the facts. So, yep, there you have it. There was that report. You can go read it. It's still up on Ars Technica. And, it's one of those things where companies have access to their own data, and that data is very valuable, very interesting to a lot of others, but it will be a cold day in hell before they release it to the general public. So, journalists, they try to go about the roundabout way. They try to gauge it as best they can, and then at the same time, sometimes either they're off the mark, but I like their methodology. I like the way that Ars Technica did this. I like the way that they gathered their data. It's just, it's hard to call Microsoft liars and then expect them to, back it up. Or at least expect Microsoft to say, all right, you guys are way off the mark. Here's the true numbers. That probably won't happen. But still, very, very interesting. And of course, we have a link to that in the show notes over on our website. So another thing that we have linked to in the show notes is, actually, we're not going to do that one. But one that we are going to do is Amazon. You've heard of them. You know them. Well, they have dropped their support for unlimited cloud storage. And we see this time and time again where the word unlimited is thrown around. I can see why it is thrown around. It's because, hey, who doesn't like the word unlimited? But turns out Amazon does not like unlimited anymore either, saying that Amazon drops its unlimited cloud storage plan, and that for the same $60 annual price. That's right, it used to cost $60 for unlimited data. Now you simply get 1 terabyte, turning it into really one of the lesser value proposition. But there you have it. So for a couple of years now, Amazon has one of the more desirable cloud storage plans out there, offering infinity terabytes for just $60 a year. And if you were taking advantage of that to store raw 8K video, well, you may need to pay more. and that Amazon has officially killed the plan. Instead, you get a not as generous 1 terabyte for the same price and up to 30 terabytes for an additional $60 per terabyte. Or, that's right, $1,800 per year. Ouch. So, and what is probably not a coincidence, Amazon is now charging exactly the same per terabyte as Apple does for iCloud. And that just 2 days ago, Apple unveiled a 2 terabyte plan, giving users double the storage for the same $120 per year price tag. And all of this price rejiggering gives consumers a lot to think about. And if you need between 1 and 2 terabytes of storage, Apple, of course, of all companies, is now your go-to, along with Amazon. Up to 1 terabyte, beyond 2, Amazon is still the cheapest. And Google, for one, charges $3,600 for 30 terabytes of storage. Wow. Data storage is crazy expensive. Like, I guess it's the cloud, but I like to think that the Computer America audience is savvy enough that if you were going to drop, my goodness, $3,600 a year into 30 terabytes of storage, you could hook up a couple of network attached storage devices, give them a dedicated IP address, and spend that $1,800 or $3,600 on, a couple hundred of dollars worth of data storage. But then I guess you got the internet company, and they don't like you taking down too much, and they don't like you uploading too much. I can see where it gets a little headache, but at the same time, that is, my goodness, crazy expensive. So they said that on the low end of the scale, if you're looking for the cool price of free, Google Drive gives you 15 gigs, which is the most space of any mainstream plan. And that Google may yet adjust its pricing, since both Apple and Amazon are now both cheaper for 1 terabyte and 2 terabytes. So they said that the new storage pricing goes into effect today, but if you sign up for the unlimited plan earlier, you'll get to keep it for the full year. And if you're storing less than 1 terabyte, you'll be auto-renewed to the new plan, since the price is the same. And if you have more, then they will opt you in for, well, the more expensive plans. There you have it. So, with that said, if you are taking advantage of Amazon and their multi-terabyte $60 price, well, free ride's over, and now it costs astronomically more. Crazy. All right. We have one more story here that we really should get to, and this just came out today, and actually, just a couple of minutes ago, and that Apple employees were doing a huge no-no in China. So this coming from Hong Kong FP, or Free Press, Hong Kong Free Press. And, there we go. And saying that China uncovers massive underground network of Apple employees selling customers' personal data. Ouch. This is going to have big ramifications. This is not good, but they're saying that the Chinese authorities say that they have uncovered a massive underground operation run by Apple employees selling computer and phone users' personal data, and that 22 people have been detained on suspicion of infringing individuals' privacy and illegally obtaining their digital personal information. And they say that of the 22 suspects, 20 were Apple employees who allegedly used the company's internal computer systems to gather users' names, phone numbers, Apple IDs, and other data, which they sold as part of a scam with more than 50 million won, or, for all of you Americans out there, about $7.36 million. If you didn't think data was valuable, well, check it out. Again, that was names, phone numbers, Apple IDs, and other data, which I'm sure is, maybe usage data or geolocation or things like that, for $7 million. Crazy. So, the following months of investigation, the statement said police across more than 4 provinces in China apprehended the suspects over the weekend, seizing their criminal tools and dismantling their online network. So, the suspects, who worked in direct marketing and outsourcing for Apple in China, allegedly charged between $1.50 and $26 for pieces of illegally extracted data. So, the sale of personal information is common in China. That sucks. Which implemented on June 1st a controversial new cybersecurity law aimed at protecting the country's network and private user information. In December, an investigation exposed a black market for private data gathered from police and government official databases. So, to wrap this up, reporters successfully obtained a trove of material on one colleague, including flight history, hotel checkouts, and property holdings, in exchange for $100. That's the kind of information that, this happened in China. This happened to Chinese Apple customers. This happened from Chinese, Apple divisions. Like, this was all in China. But you have to admit that this is the same information that is available to Apple in every other market on the planet. They definitely monitor a lot, and when you monitor that much, you also run the risk of that much data being compromised very, very quickly. So, something to have to think about when you use your smartphone for so much, but I completely understand the ease of it all and the convenience of it all much outweighs any security concerns you may have, because these security breaches, they're rare, but they're devastating when they do happen. So, okay, let's see. Don't have time to get into that one or that one. All right, how about this one? One last quick one, and this is about the Amazon Echo and how the Amazon Echo and Alexa, they're now allow voice control to all video streaming services. So Alexa is about to be even more useful when it comes to your entertainment needs. By the way, this is coming from Engadget, saying that simple voice commands already let you navigate apps like Netflix, but tools to incorporate those types of commands are now available to any TV company, streaming service, and other content providers. So, Amazon just introduced its Video Skill API, and with this tool, entertainment apps could let their customers find specific shows or movies, search genres, or even change the channel with voice commands. As long as you have an Amazon Echo or Alexa device, Video Apps takes advantage of the new function and will navigate by voice. Something that Craig Crossman said would never catch on is now here. Time to prove him wrong. The idea of voice-navigated television. So, some companies have already begun using this feature, where Dish Network began rolling out the expanded voice control last month, and while UK-based YouView announced today that it would be using Video Skill API to incorporate the new functions. And blah, 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 not much else. There you have it. Voice commands coming to more services across the spectrum. So I think
90 seconds.
I think with that being said, we're just about out of time. And join us tomorrow on the show as we have the man, the myth, the legend, the man himself, Mr. Ralph Bond, joining us once again to, he finds a number of different articles, great articles, a lot of them because of his background in the civil engineering side of AutoCAD and Autodesk. That is, he is, of course, with Autodesk.
60 seconds.
To kind of put a name to it, a lot of the stories involve 3D printing, self-driving cars, automation, things that make you kind of hopeful for the future. And, of course, very cool stories, and happy to have Ralph Bond on, and tune in tomorrow for just that. So, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. If you missed any part of the interview with Dealray, or you missed any of the articles we covered, Check them out, computeramerica.com, today's show notes, and everything is listed right there for you, easy as pie. So thank you so much for tuning in to Computer America, and catch us tomorrow, same time, same place, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, and have a good day. Bye-bye, everyone.
Ten seconds